This is Lucas. He was 19, angry at the world, and a college dropout. And this is the moment his mother realized she finally had her son back. But for her to see this incredible change, he first had to get completely lost on the other side of the world. Before Manila, my world was tiny. It was my bedroom, the 4 gray walls of my town, and just this suffocating weight of my own failure. Dropping out of college wasn't really a choice. It felt more like a surrender. I'd gone because everyone expected me to, and I just sat in these huge lecture halls feeling like a total imposter. The words just floated right over my head, completely meaningless. Every path forward seemed foggy, and every suggestion from my mom, Sarah, felt like she was accusing me of something. I know now she just wanted to help, but back then, her worrying just felt like pressure. Her questions about my future sounded like criticisms of my present. "Lucas, have you thought about what you might want to do? Maybe look at some apprenticeships?" she'd ask, and her voice was so gentle, but all I heard was disappointment. "I don't know, Mum, okay? I just don't know," I'd snap back. That anger was a hot, familiar flash in my chest. It was just easier to be angry than to be scared. Anger was my shield. It kept everyone at a distance so they couldn't see how lost I really was. I spent my days in this lazy haze, sleeping till noon, scrolling endlessly on my phone, just watching other people live lives that seemed so simple. My friends were all at university, posting pictures from parties, and I was here, stuck, a ghost in my own life. The silence in our house was the absolute worst part. It was this heavy, loud silence, filled with everything we weren't saying to each other. My mom would move around me so carefully, like I was a landmine about to go off. I'd see the pain in her eyes when I wouldn't answer her, when I'd just retreat into my hoodie. I knew I was hurting her, and I knew it, but I couldn't stop. The anger and frustration were like a current, and I was just being swept along. I was completely directionless, a ship without a rudder, just spinning in circles. I was waiting for something, anything, to happen, some sign to point me in a direction. But nothing ever came. The gray days just bled into one another, and the anger inside me just simmered, waiting for a way out. One Tuesday evening, our usual tense dinner was interrupted when my mom put a brochure on the table between us. I didn't even bother looking up from my plate. "Lucas, please, just look at this," she said. Her voice was different this time, not begging, but firm, and so tired. I let out this big, dramatic sigh and finally glanced down. It was a brochure for a volunteer program. It had these brightly colored photos of smiling people, some Western, some Filipino, all painting a schoolhouse. The headline read, "Find your purpose, find yourself." I almost laughed out loud. It was such a cliché. "Seriously, Mum, you think sending me to a third world country is going to magically fix me?" "I don't think anything is going to magically fix you, Lucas," she said. The rawness in her voice made me finally look at her. Her eyes were exhausted, but determined. "I think you need a change of perspective, a big one. You're so focused on what you don't have. Maybe you need to see what life is like for people who have lost everything and still find a reason to smile." I wanted to argue. I wanted to throw the brochure in the trash and storm up to my room. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the total exhaustion on her face. Or maybe, deep down, some small part of me was just tired of being angry. I picked up the brochure. The program was in Manila, Philippines, working with an organization called Bayanihan Bridge. It was a 6-month placement, working with kids in underserved communities. Bayanihan, I said, probably butchering the pronunciation. It means community spirit, Mum replied softly. Working together for the common good. The idea was terrifying. Leaving everything I knew, being thrown into a completely different world. But it was also the first thing that had sparked any feeling in me other than anger or apathy in months. It was a direction, a scary one, but still a direction. I thought about another 6 months in my bedroom, another 6 months of that heavy silence. Fine, I said, not looking at her. I'll go. It wasn't an enthusiastic yes. It was me giving in, a last-ditch effort to get away from the person I was becoming. I had no idea if it would work, and I didn't really care. All I knew was that I couldn't stay here. The decision was made. I was going to Manila. I didn't know it then, but that one bitter word, fine, was the beginning of everything. The 14-hour flight to Manila was just pure, buzzing anxiety. I had my headphones on the whole time, trying to drown out the voice in my head screaming at me for being so stupid. What was I even doing? I didn't know the first thing about volunteering, about kids, about any of it. Stepping out of the airport in Manila was an assault on the senses. The heat hit me first, this thick, humid blanket that just clung to my skin. Then the noise, a crazy symphony of car horns, the rumble of jeepneys, people shouting, and a language I didn't understand. It smelled like diesel, street food, and something sweet I couldn't quite place. It was totally overwhelming. I just stood there for a second, paralyzed by the chaos. This was 1,000,000 miles away from my quiet, gray English town. A man holding a sign with the Bayanihan Bridge logo and my name on it waved me over. He was an older Filipino man with a kind, weathered face and a smile that lit up his eyes. His name was Kuya Ben. Kuya, he explained, means older brother. The drive through Manila was an education. We were just swallowed by traffic, a river of cars, motorcycles, and these insanely decorated jeepneys packed with people. You could see skyscrapers in the distance, but down on the streets, life was just spilling out everywhere. Families ate on plastic chairs on the sidewalk, kids played basketball with a rusty hoop, and there were people everywhere. So many people. We finally arrived at the volunteer house in a busy neighborhood. It wasn't a slum, but it was nothing like the neat, tidy lawns I was used to. The houses were all packed together, a tangle of concrete and corrugated iron, with wires crisscrossing overhead like a giant spiderweb. But there was so much life. Music drifted from open doorways, and neighbors called out to each other. The volunteer house was simple. Basic furniture, shared rooms. I met the other volunteers, a few people from Australia, Germany, and the US. They all seemed so bright-eyed and excited, which just made me retreat further into myself. I felt like a total fraud. The angry kid his mom had shipped off because she was out of ideas. That first night, I was lying in my bunk bed, listening to all these unfamiliar city sounds. Dogs barking, a rooster crowing somewhere, the murmur of Tagalog from the street below. The culture shock felt like a physical weight on my chest. I felt small and so alone. I just stared at the ceiling, that old anger creeping back in. This was a huge mistake. I wasn't built for this. I just wanted to go home. My first day was at a small community center in Tondo, a district I quickly learned was one of the most crowded and poorest places on earth. The city changed as we drove. We passed these sprawling slums, whole communities of makeshift homes built from scrap metal and wood, balanced right on the edge of polluted waterways. I saw kids playing barefoot in muddy alleys, but they were laughing. Their smiles were huge. The contrast between the hardship you could see everywhere and this undeniable energy was something my brain just couldn't compute. The community center itself was an oasis of color and noise. It was a simple two-room building, but the walls were covered in children's artwork. The local coordinator, a woman named Ate Grace, Ate means older sister, greeted us with a warmth that felt like a hug. "Welcome, welcome," she said, her smile never fading. "Our children have been so excited for you to arrive. You being here, it means the world. It tells them they haven't been forgotten." My first job was to help in an after-school class for kids from 7 to 10. The room was packed, with nearly 60 kids crammed into a space meant for half that. I was supposed to help with English practice, but I just stood at the back, feeling totally useless and awkward. The kids were a whirlwind of energy. I had no idea how to connect with them. During a break, a little boy with these big, curious eyes walked up to me. He couldn't have been more than 8. He pointed at the faded band logo on my t-shirt. "What is?" he asked. I stumbled over my words. "Oh, it's a music band." "You play?" he asked. No, I said. "I just listen." He just nodded and ran off. It was a tiny thing, but it was a start. It was the first time I hadn't put up a wall of anger in what felt like forever. The work was all about giving the local youth a safe space and skills to help them build confidence. Many of the teenagers we worked with were at risk of dropping out of school to work. We ran art workshops, public speaking exercises, things like that. Slowly, and I mean slowly, I started to get involved. I started by just handing out crayons. Then, I'd help a kid hold a paintbrush right. One day, Ate Grace asked me to lead a small English conversation group with some teenagers. I was terrified. In the group was this quiet, 15-year-old boy named Miguel. He barely said a word, just stared at the floor. He reminded me of me. I tried to get them talking. "So, what do you guys like to do for fun?" "Nothing." I tried again. "Do you like football?" A few kids shrugged. Miguel didn't even look up. I felt that familiar frustration bubbling up inside me. This was pointless. But then I really looked at them. I saw their worn-out school uniforms, their tired faces. I thought about the daily struggles they went through just to be sitting in this room. My anger wasn't at them. It was at myself for being so useless. I took a deep breath. "Okay, this is boring," I said. A few of them looked up, surprised. "My English is probably boring. Let me try something else." And then I just started talking. I told them about my town, how gray and quiet it was. I told them how I'd felt lost and angry. I didn't plan it, the words just came out. For the first time, I was just being honest. And Miguel looked up at me. There was a flicker of interest in his eyes. He saw something he recognized. The wall between us had started to crack. These kids, they were living with challenges I couldn't even begin to imagine. And yet, every single day, they showed up. They showed up to learn, to laugh, and to dream. It's organizations like Bayanihan Bridge and amazing local staff like Ate Grace that make that possible. They create a space where hope can actually survive. If their work has touched you, please think about looking up local charities in Manila and other parts of the Philippines. A little bit of support really does go a long way in keeping these places open for the kids who need them most. My turning point wasn't one big, dramatic moment. It was more like a slow chipping away at the walls I'd built. But if I had to pick one moment, it was during a community fiesta. The whole neighborhood came together to celebrate a local Saints' Day. Even with the poverty that was always there, the community just exploded with life. The street was decorated with handmade banners, A sound system played upbeat music, and every family shared what little food they had. I was helping Ate Grace serve rice and adobo. A woman came up to our table with her 3 small children, and Ate Grace loaded up plates for them. The woman thanked her, and then she turned to me and offered me one of the plates. "No, no, that's for you and your family," I said quickly. She just pushed the plate towards me again, with a gentle, unwavering smile. "We share," she said. I was floored. This woman, who had so little, was offering to share it with me, a stranger from a world she couldn't even imagine. And in that one moment, all the self-pity and anger I'd been carrying around felt so incredibly selfish and small. My problems, my first-world angst, seemed like a joke. These people had real problems, yet here they were, offering me their food with open hearts. It was the most humbling experience of my entire life. Later that day, I was sitting with Miguel on the side of the road, just watching everyone. He was more talkative now. He told me he dreamed of becoming an engineer so he could build stronger houses for his community that wouldn't get destroyed by typhoons. He wasn't just dreaming for himself. He was dreaming for everyone. He turned to me and asked, "Kuya Lucas, why were you so angry when you first came here?" The question caught me completely off guard. I looked at this 15-year-old kid who carried the weight of his whole community on his shoulders, and I just felt this wave of shame. "I was lost, Miguel," I said, and the words finally felt true. "I thought I had nothing. I came here and realized I had everything. I just couldn't see it." That was it. That was the moment everything clicked. This trip wasn't about me saving anyone. They were saving me. They were teaching me what resilience and community and gratitude really meant. They were showing me what it felt like to have a purpose. And for the first time, I wanted to be a person who deserved their kindness. I wanted to be more like them. The last few months flew by. The change inside me started to show on the outside. The permanent scowl I used to wear was just gone. I started waking up early, excited to get to the center. I wasn't just helping in the workshops anymore. I was running some of them. I even designed a creative writing session for the kids. Seeing a shy little girl stand up and read a poem she'd written, her voice getting stronger with every word, that gave me a feeling of pride I'd never felt before. My relationships with the other volunteers got deeper too. We weren't just roommates anymore. We were a team. We'd spend our evenings sharing stories, talking about the kids, the challenges, and all the little moments of joy. My chats with Miguel became a regular thing. I helped him with his English homework, and he taught me about his culture and his unbreakable optimism. I wasn't just a volunteer anymore. I was part of the community. I knew the market vendors by name, I could say a few things in Tagalog, and I felt a sense of belonging that I'd been missing for so long. I started to think about my future, but without that old feeling of dread. The work at the center lit a fire in me. I wanted to work with young people, especially kids who, like me, felt lost. My future wasn't a terrifying blank page anymore. I decided I would go back to university, but this time to study social work. The anger that had fueled me for so long was replaced by a quiet, steady purpose. The Philippines didn't give me all the answers, but it helped me start asking the right questions. It taught me that purpose isn't something you find. It's something you build, day by day. The flight home was the total opposite of my journey out. Instead of anxiety, I felt this calm sense of anticipation. I spent the hours writing in a journal, thinking about everything that had happened and the person I'd become. Leaving Manila was tough. I was leaving a piece of my heart there, but I was taking so much with me. Walking through arrivals at Heathrow was surreal. It was so clean and quiet. I saw my mum, Sarah, waiting. Her face was a mask of nervous hope. I felt a sharp pang of guilt for all the worry I'd caused her. As I got closer, her eyes searched my face. I must have looked different, thinner, tanned, hair a bit longer, but the change she saw was deeper. I smiled at her, a real smile, and I saw the exact moment her anxiety just melted away. Her face crumpled, and tears started falling freely. They were tears of pure relief. She rushed forward and wrapped her arms around me, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. I hugged her back just as hard. "I'm home, Mum," I whispered. "You are," she sobbed, pulling back to look at me, her hands on my face. "Oh, Lucas, it's you. It's really you." She wasn't just talking about me being there physically. She saw that the light in my eyes was back. She saw peace where the anger used to be. She saw a young man, not a lost boy.